It's championship night in Belgium, and while we aren't at Belgium's headline racing facility, Circuit Zolder has seen its fair share of Formula 1 racing in past years, and it's a fantastic DTM and GT3 playground. It's also the final chance for anyone in NARL to step up and make their name known this season, because time has officially run out. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Zolder, Belgium. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Lindgren alongside this evening, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of North American Racing League GT3 Season number 8. Tonight's coverage from Zolder is brought to you by Muradness, by JS Consulting, and by Screw Compressor Service. We join you all here this evening from the virtual circuit Zolder, home of DTM, for a fantastic final round on the season, all the way through now 8 weeks of racing strewn throughout the summer of 2025. We have visited a bunch of niche racetracks, but this could be up there as far as one of the more niche racetracks, Zach. I mean, when you look at the last handful of races alone, Portland, Chicago, Donington, Charlotte, a lot of niche racetracks, but Zolder, it's not known by many over here on our side of the country, or our side of the world, I should say, but boy, is it a fantastic little racetrack.
Yeah, it looks like a fantastic little racetrack, and I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before we got started on the broadcast, Andrew, about how many chicanes, 5, just before turn 7, just out of 8, and going into the final 2 corners in 10, so I think this track took into account that this track does produce a lot of speed, which I think is going to relate to hopefully a lot of really good battles on track. And I foresee a lot of battles just because of how steep turn 1 is. If you can get out of the last chicane going into 1 with a really good run, you have a chance to pass all the way from 2 to 4. If you're on the inside and you're trying to hold position, you have a really good chance of doing that. I think this track is just a product, or trying to produce that sense of speed, that sense of what these cars can do. So I think looking forward to Zolder, it's going to be a very quick racetrack. It's going to be a lot of action, and I couldn't be more excited to get this one going. The end of the season too, so I think with speed, end of season, I think we're going to see some aggression. I think we're going to see some moves that we're not really used to seeing, but some aggressive moves nonetheless.
As we get into the iRacing.com sim here, let's take a look at point standings. These are your Division 1 standings. Paolo Godai on top by 28 points. Thomas Rayleigh in 3rd, David Schwartz 4th, Yannick Steinhoff 5th, and you have to go all the way to 5th place at Yannick Steinhoff to find a race winner this season. I would say it's relatively likely he makes it into the top 4, maybe even the top 3 of the standings before the night is done. But he is eliminated from championship contention even as he goes fastest here in qualifying. Paolo Godai and Scott Kimber are the only 2 with a chance at the championship this season, and boy does it look good for Paolo. So moving down to division number 2, Zach, things are a little more interesting here, a little bit tighter, and look at that. We thought Armando Aarons had this thing wrapped up, but we did not know that the drop had not yet been figured in until after last week of Chicago. So that is how Andy Ray Miller is now 18 points up on Armando Aarons. This flips D2 entirely.
It really does, and with how close, and I mean, like you said, last week we thought Armando Aarons had it all but wrapped up. Just a couple laps, maybe a couple positions, and Armando Aarons had it. But now with the drops and everything included, Andy Ray Miller takes over the lead for Division 2. Now, we were talking about this before the stream had started, that Armando Aarons still can take off that top spot from Andy Ray Miller. He just needs a couple of these races to go his way, maybe pop off a win in the heat race. Andy Ray Miller have some trouble. There is still a chance for Armando Aarons to get up there. I believe everybody else is mathematically eliminated. Obviously, positions to be gained for those guys close to them, but I think right now the 2 battling are Andy Ray Miller and Armando Aarons for the battle for the championship. I think we're just going to see some desperation, maybe a little bit of aggressive moves to make sure that they hold on to their points as much as possible.
It's definitely down to the top 2 in both classes, and it'll be interesting to see how the night goes on and who's able to prevail. It certainly looks like each of the points leaders coming into tonight should hang on to their leads, but you never know what could happen here at Zolder. Taking a quick look at the schedule and how we got here, all the way through Mugello at round 1, Sebring at round 2, Canada, or Circuit Gilles Villeneuve at round 3, then Charlotte Motor Speedway at round 4, Donington Park in England for round 5, Portland and Chicago the last couple of weeks, and now Zolder here, the final round of the season. Again, a lot of niche racetracks this season. Very happy to be ending it here at Circuit Zolder, a really cool racetrack that we have not been to in some time here at Pit Stop TV, let alone for the North American Racing League. Qualifying wrapping up out track side, but we can take a look at the last few cars that are on track, including Alex DeMarco. Well, it was including Alex DeMarco. How about points leader in Division 2? That is Andy Ray Miller in car 33. His Porsche does need to pick up some pace here in qualifying, and he's already exhausted all of his laps. He is down in 6th in class, 16th overall. Armando Aarons is 3 spots ahead.
And we've kind of been talking about how consistent Andy Ray Miller and Armando Aarons both are, just because of, obviously, they're standing in points, but they've kind of shown it all season, just the consistency of it. Obviously, Andy Ray Miller and Armando Aarons both have had their troubles throughout the season, but because of that consistency, they've put them on top. So when you put consistency up against consistency, it's really, really difficult to start getting those positions. So this is arguably the biggest qualifying of the year for Andy Ray Miller. He's got to try to jump as close as he can to Armando to try to solidify that little bit of points gap as he comes down pit road right here. So I believe he's going to give up said time. So it's like I said, it's right down to it. This is arguably the most important qualifying of the year for those two. So Andy Ray Miller giving up his time, a couple spots behind Armando Aarons. He's already a couple points down. Miguel Colon takes a huge lead through one of the chicanes. I believe that was maybe 6 or 7 right there, I believe, but Miguel Colon, big jump through the chicane there. I don't know if that's going to give him a 1x or not. He's still digging, though.
I believe that was through turn 5. That's a big, heavy chicane. These corners, they sneak up on you. And if we can go, let's go ahead and bring up the telemetry graphic here. He's only into 5th gear here until he gets into turn 8. So only been to 5th there. And this little straightaway to turn 10, he's only likely going to hit 4th gear, maybe 5th for a short time. I think he'll pull 5th right here for just a minute, just a moment, and then back down through the gears. It looks like it might be a faster racetrack because chicanes usually come on the end of long straightaways, but this is a pretty quick, short little racetrack, 2.49 miles, and as Cologne tries to go faster here in qualifying, he certainly will not be doing that. He does not go faster that lap, and he will not have enough time to run another lap. So even though he's on to lap 3 now of qualifying, he's going to start from the very back of the field, 19th quick so far out of 20 who have turned a time.
And I think right now with him just kind of still out there on track, trying to get an understanding, maybe a feel for this track, maybe he's just like me to the point where he just got this track maybe more than an hour ago, maybe a little less, who knows. But Miguel Colon obviously taking the time, every last little bit of second, to get an understanding of what he needs. He was able to get through the chicane there better, so maybe that was just a little bit of a overdrive, trying to get as much time as he could, but now he just kind of understands what he needs to do as far as the race is coming up. But speaking of getting ready stage for Heat 1 here, Andrew.
And while we get ready, let's take a look at the partners here with the North American Racing League. A big thank you to Muradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, and Rocket Designs helping us out with this series, making this series possible week in, week out, all year long. And it's going to be a little while before the next season, but again, even the upcoming season would not be possible without these partners on the left side of your screen. Also, big thank you to Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. Looking at the grid, well, actually, let's take a look at weather first. We don't usually get to do that. Weather right away, off the bat, Zach, a little bit cool out there, 67.3 degrees. It's late afternoon out there, 73 degrees on track, clear skies. I would think it'd be a little warmer, but we are up in Belgium. It's a little bit cooler up in this part of the world, and definitely it's showing that here this evening. A little bit cooler out there. These guys have some prime track conditions for this race this evening. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Lucky Performance starting grid then, and through qualifying, it's Yannick Steinhoff right back on top. I have more on that in just a moment. Eduardo Pecorini in second place. Very much what we would be expecting at this point in the season. Seeing how much they've done this season, they each have multiple wins, and that is hard to come by. Starting from third, Paolo Godai, Francesco Antonicelli at fourth. Again, a couple of the best here in the series right there in row 2. Scott Kimbrough, Lucas Souza. Again, pretty much par for the course. I think this is a very to be expected front of your grid this evening, as they will start 5th and 6th. Starting 7th, it'll be Chris Winstone. Your Division 2 pole sitter will start from 8th, that's Sven Hartman. Starting 9th, Sam Soyd, and starting 10th, Anthony Wayand.
Behind him, Thomas Rayleigh and Alex DeMarco will be starting 11th and 12th respectively. Thomas Rayleigh had himself quite an interesting race last week at Chicago with everything that was happening there. He still came home, I believe, overall top 5, so it was a good run from him. Behind them, Armando Aarons are P2 right now in Division 2. He's not P2 on track in Division 2, P2 in point standings. Right next to him, Edgar Ruiz will be starting there. Dean Kerr, 15th. Andy Ray Miller, 16th. Christian Gritzko and Robert Guadagnoli, 17th and 18th. Miguel Colon, as we had talked about, will be starting tail end of the field, or towards the tail end of the field in P19. 20th, Billy Bowerman. And to round out the rest of the field, Scott Angelo and Mark Booley did not take time in qualifying, will be starting 21st and 22nd.
Want to take a look as well at the Whiplash SimCam's race details here. I guess I didn't update them. Well, it's the same thing we've been doing. 15 position invert. Nothing has changed. So, you know what? That graphic probably doesn't even need it right now. What we do need to look at, Zach, is going to be this brand new graphic, the power rankings. We have been working on this for the last handful of weeks, working to get this race ready for you. This is really cool, and we're going to continue this on throughout the eternity of the North American Racing League, as long as we're around to talk about it. Yannick Steinhoff now on top by a large margin, so not just on top of the grid this evening, but on top of the power rankings. This is based on stats, heavily based on stats. There's a little bit of our opinions mixed in, but heavily based on stats, and you can see Yannick Steinhoff on top by a wide margin over Paolo Godai. They are well ahead of the rest of the field. Francesco Antonicelli, though, he's been moving up recently. I've been, watching these as we get them ready week after week. Scott Kimbrough's been good lately. Armando Aarons, as a Division 2 driver, is in the top 10, along with Andy Ray Miller in the top 10. I mean, a lot of these guys are definitely showing what they're made of.
Oh, absolutely, and I think this power ranking just goes to show that the power is there for these guys, but also just the consistency of it. You need to be able to put down consistent lap times, consistent finishes in order to put yourself inside these top rankings. Paolo Godai doesn't have as many wins as Yannick as pace car pulls off here, but obviously Yannick with the wins, but Paolo Godai with good finishes as we go green here at Zolder.
Green flag down to the first turn here in Belgium, and single file among the first handful of cars. 20 minutes here for the first race of the night, the sprint race this evening in the North American Racing League. The feature race coming up next, 40 minutes long there. There will be a pit stop. This is the same format we've run all season long, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you're used to it by now. It's going to be a lot of fun here at Zolder. Through the first handful of corners now, turn number 4, and on to this first of 2 back straightaways, all nice, clean, and green.
Everybody seems to be playing it nice as of right now. Everybody's getting single filed out as long as maybe the first 12, maybe the first 14. There was some battles coming out of that first long right-hand sweeper from 2 all the way to 4. There were some battles, but I think they've gotten situated as well as we see one of the cars into the barrier. That's Dean Kerr.
It's a lot of gravel now on the exit of turn 5. Excuse me, that's where the car does a lot of weight shifting as well. That's going to be treacherous this next lap when they all come through. Let's take a look at how Dean Kerr got there. Racing with Christian Gritzko, and Gritzko was on his left side. I don't know, either driver made a mistake there. I know the league cracks down heavily on first lap incidents, but that doesn't look like anything egregious to me.
Gritzko had a really good run here on Andy Ray Miller, was able to complete the pass. Really good run on Dean Kerr as well, maybe about a half car length behind him. Looks to the left, deep braking. Gritzko already making his intentions well known, pretty much jumped the curb. Yeah, I think it's just a very, very narrow part of the track, and they just came together. I don't really see anything egregious right there.
And now an incident for Chris Winstone. You see, this is back to the beginning of lap 1, puts a block there on Samsoid into turn number 2. He's going to have an incident on the back end of lap 1 here in the heat race, the feature, or the sprint race. There we go. So we'll just watch this through. He's going to be ahead of that incident with Dean Kerr. So let's go ahead and watch that with Dean Kerr one more time, because he's going to have Christian Gritzko up the left side of him. And Gritzko makes a bit of an aggressive move, but he's got his nose ahead for a moment. He's all the way on the curbing there. He gives as much room as he possibly can, and they still make contact. I don't think he did anything wrong, but we'll leave the stewards to decide that. As here's Chris Winstone. This is through the back end of the lap now. He's got to have an incident in just a moment. A pretty big one from what I saw in timing and scoring.
He's pretty much all by himself, separated from Samsoid there for a little bit, really the only Merc in the field. Gets through the back end of the lap here very well. He's coming through 9. Doesn't really look like anything too major. Maybe he just jumps it a little bit too hard coming into the last chicane here. Samsoid a little closer, but he's not close enough just yet to kind of create any kind of barrier.
No.
Yep, back in, steps out.
That's a pretty big hit, too. It doesn't look like it's that big, but that's a pretty big hit for the left front wheel to take for that guardrail, and even a bit of a tire pack, I think, there as well. Well, just guardrail there, actually. So that could be some wheel damage for Chris Winstone. I hope it isn't, but it looks like it is. He's actually being lapped right now after having pitted, so I dare say, Zach, that was likely some wheel damage for the number 37. He is now a lap down in last place.
Yeah, lap ones just do not seem to be Chris Winstone's bread and butter. He's obviously had his fair share of troubles. You can see him getting out of the way for the lead lap drivers. That's a really smart move. Obviously, he's not really fighting for much right now. To come back up here towards the front, though, obviously Yannick Steinhoff still holds the lead over at Pecorini, Gadai. But as we kind of come back here towards this little bit of a battle, I mean, just everybody kind of lining out, trying to get an understanding. These guys are still relatively close, so any little bit of mix-up here, these guys can really get to battling.
This is a really racy track. It is definitely a driver's track. You can make a lot of mistakes and lose a lot of lap time quickly, but this is really racy, so if you get guys that are close in pace, you can have some really good racing over the course of any kind of race here at Zolder. It's been a lot of fun in the past. We just haven't run it in a long time, and you know, in case you're a long-time viewer here, if you've been around for a while but maybe aren't always on iRacing, or maybe haven't run Zolder on iRacing in a while, this track has been entirely refreshed since we've last run it. So we had to build brand new cameras here. This is a completely brand new racetrack at this point compared to what it used to be. Brand new scan data, I believe, and just everything has been refreshed here at Zolder, much like the NASCAR tracks have done recently here on iRacing. This has been completely refreshed, remastered. It's got the 3D foliage. Boy, does it look good.
It really does look good. And as we're watching Yannick Steinhoff come through that first little bit of chicanes there, one thing that I'm noticing, everybody pretty much using every little square inch of track. We were on Yannick there for a little bit. He used pretty much every little bit of rumble strip, every little bit of
this shows it really well.
It really does. You can see here the drivers jumping the chicanes pretty much, the right side lifting up, that big bump right there in the middle to help the car rotate. I mean, just every little bit of track, every little inch that you can have, these guys are using for their advantage. Obviously, the two up front, Steinhoff, Pecorini, have taken off because of it, but you can see here these guys are using every little bit of track.
This is a good example, too. Look at how far over they're taking the second apex. And the leaders, they put all four on the right side of those rumble strips, actually. Excuse me, they kind of straddled the big bumps right there on the right side of the apex. And look at that, one car up and into the air. That was Billy Bowerman taking some air there for a moment. But these guys are definitely using all the racetrack they can this evening, even here through turns 3 and 4, using a lot of the racetrack, tracking all the way out, getting their run into the next corner. And the one that I want to look at is coming up here in a moment when they run through turn 5 one more time, because that was a really good look. Not this camera, this one right here. Yeah, this is a really good look at the chicane and then the run out.
You see them just still pumping both left and right side of their cars to try to get everything that they can out of it. And I think that's one of the scarier things when it comes to this new GT3. Big jump there from, I believe that would have been
I think that was Aaron's.
Armando Aaron's, yeah, that was huge jump for Armando. I don't know if he got any kind of damage to the underbody, maybe a little bit of a slowdown, but he had a huge jump through there. But that's just it. That's just a matter of racing these GT3s. You need every little bit of inch that you can to make time, and when you step over that inch, you get penalized plenty. So Armando Aaron's big jump through there. Again, I don't know if there's any damage to the car. Didn't look like it, but huge jump through there. Lifted up the front end and everything.
The other thing I will say about Zolder here is whether it's in the chicane apexes or on corner exit, there is very little runoff, as there you see, went monster trucking over each one of those curb segments. Let's watch it one more time from a TV camera. That was really impressive, actually. But there's very little runoff. You see right there on the exit of turn 4, very little space. You get just that little curbing strip. Otherwise, you're out in the dirt. Even here in turn 5, not much room, as we've got a problem to look at with Miguel Colon after this. That is Armando Aaron's up in the air. Let's just continue the replay and watch Miguel Colon. He's going to have a moment here, or he's going to have an issue here in a moment, Zach. Car 87 said in YouTube chat he is racing with zero practice, and to wish him luck, unfortunately, it's gone awry.
And it's very difficult to just jump into a track with zero practice, but I feel like Miguel Colon's using this time to get a good little advantage of it, but obviously with this little bit of an issue right here, maybe just understanding what he needs to learn for the future to not step over any kind of boundary here through 8.
Don't tell me it's turn 10 again.
It looking like it. He's all alone by himself in a bubble. Maybe just got into the power too hard coming out of 10. Let's see.
On the brakes there for turn 10, through one part of the chicane on exit, and yep, just gets loose and spins right around, baby. I mean, that is exactly a carbon copy of what Chris Winstone did on lap 1.
And you can see there's a little bit of grass that was flying off his right side, so maybe his tires were just a little bit dirty trying to get back on the power. The tires just didn't have the grip because of everything that was still on it. Car whipped around, and like you said, carbon copy of what happened to Chris Winstone. So I just think maybe that little bit of grass, maybe just that little puff just sends the car around. And that's what I was talking about with these chicanes and these GT3 cars, with how hard you've got to turn the car, but get back on the power. These cars are very unsettled coming through those chicanes, and obviously in the same corner with Chris Winstone, you see now Miguel Colon there. So these guys now understand what they got to pay attention to for the future.
Let's go ahead and break out a new feature here of the broadcast real quick. Haven't shown this off yet this evening. A lap time comparison between two drivers we're watching now on board. Armando Aaron's in 3rd place in Division 2 and Alex DeMarco in 4th place in Division 2. These are their last laps and their best laps compared on the bottom of your screen. Last lap for Aaron's, a 127.596. For DeMarco, a 129.654. Armando Aaron's 2 seconds faster, yet here they are battling for 3rd.
Show how close these cars are, right? Obviously, we know that this is a fixed setup league, which means these guys are on the exact same setup. No matter the car, no matter the make, these guys are on the exact same setup. It just goes to show how close they are. That's why these guys are using every little bit of track, every little bit of advantage they can to gain just that little bit of time on track. So these guys are so even. So DeMarco there made up a little bit of time, overshot 10 just a little bit. This is going to give Armando Aaron's a good launch coming out of 10, and I think that's where the time is made up. Just that little bit of overstepping can really affect you.
There you see the next lap being logged for each of those drivers. Much closer. DeMarco must have had a misstep the lap prior. He's up to a 128.181 now, so much closer to Aaron's, but still a half second off. So definitely a big difference between those two drivers right now. Aaron's lapping much quicker than Alex DeMarco and trying to get away for that spot. There was a battle further back. We saw Christian Gritzko's incident with Dean Kerr, and it seems that it was not deemed to be a penalty for Gritzko, but he's got a lot of right front damage as a result of that incident. And you can see they both track out wide there, but that's Billy Bowerman just ahead. So Bowerman and Gritzko doing some battle here for 6th in class towards the back end of the field overall.
This is one of the tougher parts when it comes to iRacing. Obviously, with the heat race in the future now included in an NARL, if you get any kind of damage through Heat 1 and you decide to stick it out, now you're getting used to a car with damage. Now you're getting an understanding of what the car needs to do to drive well with damage. So I believe this might be I don't know, this might be beneficial for Gritsko, but it also might be detrimental just because now he's going to have to pretty much drive a clean car in the future. Now he's not really going to have the best of understanding what his car needs just because he hasn't had a clean lap without damage in this race. So obviously with Billy Bowerman right in front of him, he's gained some time on him. He's right on his back bumper here, so he's still has a good handle on this car so far. Now it's just a matter of how well can he adapt for the future races. He gets a good run out of 10 here. He's going to look to the right side, which is going to be the outside of turn 1, but the inside looks like Billy Bowerman's going to give it to him, give that position to Christian Gritsko.
So Gritsko moving back forward as Robert Guadagnoli's got a problem out of turn number 10, and I'll save the replay here. I'm going to guess this is the exact same thing that we've seen get two drivers already, being Winstone and Cologne. That's got to be the same kind of issue. As here we go, race leaders now starting to go after it. 7.5 minutes to go here in the sprint race. And this is not the only battle that's sparked up in the last couple of minutes. You've got the battle here for the race lead, then Paolo Godai and Francesco Antonicelli very close, and then Scott Kimbrough and Lucas Souza rather close to one another. There you see Souza in the background. 3 pairs at the top end of the field as Christian Gritsko has got an issue out of turn 5.
It's the first time we've really seen a major incident that's not turn 10. I'm kind of wondering if maybe just the same kind of thing bit him here. He did get in front of Billy Bowerman. We did kind of document that. Billy Bowerman not really close enough to have any kind of yeah, just got on the throttle a little bit too quick. Car was still unsettled. Christian Gritsko goes around. No damage, though, for him. Not into any kind of wall, but a big slide for Christian Gritsko.
Meanwhile, let's bring up a lap time comparison now with Eduardo Pecorini and Yannick Steinhoff. So we'll get Steinhoff, we'll get Pecorini here on the graphic. Let's bring that up. Here it is. Last lap, Pecorini nearly identical to Steinhoff. He's right on him. Thing is, Zach, he gained a bunch of time. He was a little over a second back at one point of Steinhoff. He's gained a bunch of time. Now he's stalled out. We talk about dirty air in a lot of forms of racing now. Aerodynamics have kind of forced it upon us. Whether it's the NASCAR Cup Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the IndyCar Series, Formula One, IMSA, it doesn't matter. There's dirty air in every top level of motorsport these days because of how aerodynamic these cars are and how close they are to the ground, because racetracks are better, less bumpy, you can lower the race car more and make more downforce that way. And you can see it's affecting Eduardo here. We've seen it all across the season this season. A lot of racetracks that are hard to pass at. You get to somebody, you stall out. It's hard to actually make that pass. And especially here at Zolder, there aren't many long straightaways. There's a few straightaways. They aren't very long. You only usually get to 5th gear. You don't usually hit 6th gear. I think he's just stalled out.
I think that's what makes every pass that we've seen so impressive, just because of that. It's difficult to get up to somebody. It's difficult to keep your race car where you want it to when you're behind somebody, when you're right in their tire tracks pretty much. And with the tracks that we've seen, you've had to be in those tire tracks. You've had to pretty much be right behind somebody in order to make up time. So it's difficult to break that bubble coming up to somebody. So that, I think that's why each pass that we've seen throughout the season has been so impressive. Sure, we've seen a lot. Sure, we've seen some aggressive display, but I still feel like with each pass, it's just that much more impressive just because of how difficult it is to get up to somebody. To not only get up to somebody, but then to pass that same person who's pretty much putting identical lap times to you. As Steinhoff and Pecorini, again, go almost identical, pretty much almost down to the 1,000th. So these guys are right on top of each other. Obviously, in time, it's just difficult to break that bubble of pretty much within 3/10 behind somebody just because of that dirty air, as you mentioned.
Yeah, 5.85 to a 5.51. Very close between these two. Pecorini a little bit faster. We'll keep this graphic up just a little bit longer and see what their lap times look like this time around here on lap number 11. But this is a really useful tool we created literally this week, and I'm glad we were able to show it off this evening in a really good use between these two drivers, because it really shows just how close they are on the racetrack. Steinhoff's time, of course, on the left. Pecorini's on the right. Let's see what it is across the line here. Steinhoff, a 26.4. Pecorini, a 27.5. Steinhoff really lit it up.
I was going to mentioned something about how these tires, even though it's a 20-minute race, these tires can still degrade over time, some quicker than others, just because of how much wheel input, how much throttle, how much brake you decide to use. We saw Pecorini get really aggressive into the braking zones. Maybe that's just angered the front tires a little bit too much, maybe dealing with some front drive off that car. Yannick Steinhoff really been able to take off these last few laps. He's put almost a second, maybe a little bit more on Pecorini as we come back here to the battle of third for Gudai and Antonicelli. Antonicelli still looking behind Gudai, about 2.5 car lengths behind him. They're still relatively close, but nothing's really closed up for these two.
Close but no cigar for Antonicelli. Eduardo Pecorini now 2 seconds behind Yannick Steinhoff, so I think maybe Yannick was saving some stuff for the very end of the race here. Honestly, Zach, I would not be surprised, being Yannick, I would not be surprised if he was practicing saving fuel for the feature.
And that's obviously a strategy that we've seen work out for a bunch of drivers. Now, we've seen the last few weeks Yannick come down early. He was pretty much one of the earliest pitters, so this is relatively new as far as the last few weeks counting for Yannick Steinhoff, but obviously, like you said, using that time to save fuel with nobody in front of him, I think that's a huge thing to have in the memory bank there as we look back here with Andy Ray Miller, Chris Winstone, and I believe this, well, Andy Ray Miller pops out in front of him. That's not Dean Kerr in front of him, but obviously these three right on top of each other, one little mistake could really affect any one of these drivers. So Andy Ray Miller hasn't really made up too much ground. He started 16th. He's 13th overall as far as the heat race goes on. He hasn't really made up a bunch of time on Armando Aarons as well. Armando Aarons is pretty much whatever Andy Ray Miller's done as far as passing. Armando's done the same thing as we come back up here to the front yet again. Paulo Gudai, Antonicelli going back at it. So just with these cars being so identical setup-wise, so identical lap time-wise, it's very difficult to make anything happen. Antonicelli, though, closing in on Gudai.
To watch this battle, minute and a half to go. Here comes Yannick Steinhoff on the back end of the circuit. This will begin the final lap of the race when he gets back to the start-finish line. So watch out for these two to take the white flag in just a moment. Paulo Gudai with a problem. He spins, it looks like, out of turn number 8. Let's get the white flag here for Yannick Steinhoff. Here it is. He will take the white flag here at Circuit Zolder one more time around in the sprint race. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Let's take a look back now at what just occurred with Paulo Gudai. This is possibly championship. I mean, it's not likely that Kimbrough makes up enough points to make it championship implications, but it is going to have at least a small effect.
Back here, what happened to Paulo Gudai? We were mentioning Antonicelli was closing in on Paulo. Now, I don't know if this is with anything that happened to Antonicelli and Gudai. Antonicelli was picking up a little bit of time on him. Still about a car length and a half, maybe just a little bit of overzealous. Antonicelli looks to the right side, deep dive. Yep, taps him in the right rear, spins Gudai around. He gets off track, or gets off the racing line, so to say. Doesn't exactly get off track. Nothing's handed down yet as far as the stewards are concerned on this white flag lap, but Antonicelli there with a very aggressive move on Gudai.
Final lap around. By the way, we have not yet mentioned who's leading Division 2. If you haven't seen on the ticker, that is Sven Hartmann. He has led this entire race down in that class, 12 seconds behind the overall race leader, Yannick Steinhoff. He's about to wrap this one up here in Division number 2. To the start-finish line, it is Yannick Steinhoff with the race lead. He will win the sprint race here at Zolder in the North American Racing League over Eduardo Pecorini. It'll be a fastest lap as well for driver number 5. And there you go in the background, Sven Hartmann will exit turn 10. He will become a Zolder winner here this evening, winning Division number 2 in the sprint race.
Beautiful drive from Sven Hartmann. We've seen so much heartbreak happen with him over the course of the year as the rest of the drivers start to funnel in. See Andy Ray Miller, Chris Winstone really fall off from the battle that they had coming across the line. So it's really good to see Sven Hartmann put a whole race together. Obviously with the heat race, 20 minutes versus 40 minutes, there's a lot going on there. Dean Kerr and Miguel Colon are going to come across the line as well here to finish their heat races. So It's really good to see, again, really good to see Sven Hartman put one together without any kind of issue. Hopefully we're going to see that in the feature as well. But obviously with him finishing P7, he's going to be starting around there. But because of this invert, we're going to have some new drivers in front of him.
And more cars going down to the line. That'll be Billy Bowerman to the start finish. Here comes Robert Guadagnoli. Excuse me. And Guadagnoli crosses the line. Winstone will finish 20th. And that is how the sprint race will wrap up here at Circuit Zolder this evening. What a ride through those 20 minutes to get the night started. And something we tried to take a look at there before the race got going. Couldn't do so because of my own error. Here we go. The Whiplash Media race details. That 60-minute practice session, that's already wrapped up, of course, as well as the 10-minute qualifying session. We just ran the 20-minute sprint race. Now we're in a 5-minute warm-up before our 40-minute feature. We've also got fixed setups, 45% fuel load, 15 incidents on track. Every 5 thereafter is another penalty. Again, classic setup we've had all season long, nothing changing. It is just the next race on the calendar. And I want to take a look at the power rankings one more time. Let's take into account where everyone just finished, or at least where everyone was running. I think this, again, shows pretty much exactly who's good and who is maybe trying to get a little better in this series. It was almost a carbon copy.
Some of the guys right there at the bottom that we've been talking about, David Schwartz, Andy Ray Miller, Ricardo Delgado, obviously these guys have put in the work. That we've talked about them throughout the season, but we haven't seen them get up front, obviously break that threshold of winning, but still to come out in the top 10 of power rankings just goes to show that you don't have to win to be a part of the better drivers of this league. You just need consistent finishes. Ricardo Delgado, David Schwartz, Andy Ray Miller, Thomas Rayleigh, including him in there as well. Just a bunch of consistent finishes, a bunch of really good drives from those guys. So it just goes to show that if NARL is something that is in your future, you don't really need to come out and set the world ablaze. You just need to come out and consistently finish. You're going to be among the tops of these rankings up here.
And I think what we'll do in the future as this graphic kind of evolves is probably show the top 5 from each class next season. But I just wanted to get this on screen. I wanted to kind of get a look at it, see how we like it. And by the way, the score they have there, that's out of a perfect 100. So if you're winning everything, perfect score across the board all season long, that would be a 100. It's based on your results. So of course, you're not going to win every single race. You're not going to always finish first, start first, everything else. So it's not going to be that perfect score. But that is a 68.1 for Yannick Steinhoff out of 100. So it kind of gives you an idea of just how good Yannick and Paolo have been. For reference, we had these rankings up a couple of nights ago in the BRB Racing League, and the top score was about a 67. So, and that was for a very strong, dominant driver this season that is in contention for the championship. So this tracks right there with that. But that's enough of that. I want to talk about what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. The next couple of weeks here on the channel look like this, with Las Vegas Motor Speedway heading up next for the BRB Racing League and the Butt Kicker Cup Series. That is the final race of season number 4. They are looking to crown a champion. It'll likely be Dustin Stallings, admittedly, but still a few things left to be decided at Las Vegas next week. And then we cap things off not here in the GT3 series. I mean, it is still a GT3 series, and it is still the North American Racing League, but it'll be for the Sunday Cash Series on September 21st at Road America. A big thank you to Scott Reister and North American Racing League for having us on board for that event. I know they've broadcasted those events with, I believe, Mike Braun at the helm on their own channel for most of this season, but we are happy to be stepping in for the final event with over $5,000 in rewards. And on top of that, Zach, we also have the Mock Valley Star Credit Union 300 coming up this month at Martinsville Speedway. That is for the Sim Auto Racing Association Impel Motorsports National Tour. Some short track racing, late model stock cars. That's going to be a lot of fun. And all of these broadcasts and more along the bottom of your screen, all these different platforms.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that Impel Motorsports National Tour at at Martinsville Speedway. Obviously, with those late models going around Martinsville like that, a very, very tough track to get around. So obviously that's something to look forward to. And if you're also looking forward to that as well, plenty of different platforms for you to follow at Pit Stop TV, our official website, facebook.com/pitstoptv, instagram.com/pit_stop_TV. Follow us on TikTok, PitStopTV1, at Twitch, Pit_stop_TV. If you're here on YouTube, you already know where to go, but in case you're not, PitStopTV1 on YouTube, Twitter/X, whichever one you prefer, at PitStopTV.
Definitely a good lineup of broadcasts coming up. I'm excited as well for that race at Martinsville. I'm going to the Real Valley Star Credit Union 300 for my 4th year in a row on the broadcast crew. That's the wrong graphic. Hang on. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. That is a fun event to be a broadcast crew member for, and it's going to be a classic late model stock race for sure at Martinsville. A lot of great headlines in that late model stock world heading into that race. But for us, we are into the race session now for the final race of season number 8 in the North American Racing League. It all comes down to this. You know what we didn't talk about there in that race, Zach? I think we kind of forgot about it. The invert. 15 cars being inverted, and it gives us a whole new lineup here for the feature race. By the way, the final invert car in the sprint race was Dean Kerr. He will start from the front end here of the sprint race. Andy Ray Miller, he finished about 3 spots back of Armando Aarons, so technically Aarons made up some ground, but he's starting ahead of Armando and on the front row here in the feature race. Watch out for car 33. Could he go to victory lane? I don't know. I don't really get that same kind of feeling we've had the last couple of weeks about a Division 2 driver winning tonight, but it's possible here with a bunch of them starting up front. Back in row 2, Alex DeMarco, Edgar Ruiz, the first driver out of Division 1 here on the lineup in the feature race. Armando Aarons will start from 5th. Thomas Rayleigh, he finished 10th in the sprint race. He'll start from 6th here in this feature race. I'm getting it all crossed up now. It's been a long season. Starting 7th place and 8th, Anthony Wayand and Sam Soyd. Back in row 5, though, Sven Hartman and Paolo Godai.
Continuing where you left off, Lucas Souza, Scott Cambro will be starting 11th and 12th. Francesco Antonicelli, Eduardo Pecorini will be starting 13th and 14th. Yannick Steinhoff, because of the invert, will be starting P15. Now, I don't really see a lot of commotion happening here through turn 1 with how wide it is, and I think that's been a big benefactor for a bunch of these guys that have started in the middle of this field. If they've been able to get through the lap 1, turn 1 carnage, that they've been able to pick up a lot of positions. But if there's no carnage, they've got 14 cars to go through. This could be a longer race for Yannick Steinhoff than we've seen, but starting next to him, Miguel Colon. Right behind them, Christian Gritzko, Billy Bowerman. We saw them going at it. Christian Gritzko now going to be with a clean car. They're going to be starting 17th and 18th. Robert Guadagnoli and Chris Winstone will round out your field. Scott Angelo, Mark Bully will be labeled 21st and 22nd. They did not take any time through qualifying through the heat race, so they will likely not be in this race as well.
Yeah, very likely not making it to the racetrack this evening. So 20 cars going at it for 40 minutes. Should be a lot of fun. Up front, Dean Kerr from a spin in the heat race, the sprint race, to starting up front here for the feature. That's got to be kind of feel good for him. An opportunity at the very least to show what he's made of here in the feature and go for broke, right? At least try something here the first few laps. Try to hold on to this spot. I think it's very likely that we see those Division 1 guys, especially the top end of that field, come on through at some point in this race, but you never know, Zach. This is a tough place to pass. He could hold on for a while.
Well, I think we should consider him already for the lucky performance, lucky break of the day, just because of, like you said, that spin that he incurred with Christian Gritzko, was able to put himself in P15. Now sitting on the front row, P1 for this race. So if everything goes his way in the feature, like you said, we don't really foresee any D2 breaking history and winning an overall race just yet. But if he's able to survive, if he's able to hold on to that car, I think we're going to see Dean Kerr in a really good position, so I think that should be in considering for the lucky performance, lucky break of the day. One of the things that I wanted to highlight as well, Andrew, we do have a lot of D2 cars in front of these D1 drivers, but we do got some D1s mixed in, and they were about equal pace to D2 drivers, so I think that's just going to make it even harder as the pace car pulls off for some of these guys in the back to try to get a launch on these guys.
Here we go out of turn 10. There's the green flag. We're racing again. Feature racing now here in Belgium. Green flag at Zolder. And Dean Kerr spinning at the front of the field. Lap 1 out into the dirt. No harm done. Everybody continues.
Dean Kerr there with the big slide. Now we see Andy Ray Miller take over the lead with Alex DeMarco right behind him. He's got some hungry drivers behind him as well. That looked like Samsoid there for a little bit, jumping up into P3 from that start. So Andy Ray Miller, this is exactly what he needs. He goes off track. He's going to lose a lot here. Alex DeMarco to the point. Samsoid's going to try to follow on his right. Andy Ray Miller's going to have the first. He's going to give it up to Samsoid. Really smart move there. Obviously, we're points racing now. Oh, big moment there. Big moment. Andy Ray Miller into the wall. Looked like Armando Aarons was the one who kind of pushed him into it.
This could be big for the championship. Back to the front of the field. There's Alex DeMarco. Problems now for Scott Kimbrough. He is slow. He's got no front bumper. Winston goes to the inside of Yannick Steinhoff. No dice there. This is going to be a chaotic lap 1 to go back and look at. This is what we've come to expect at the starts of these feature races. It's usually a little more tame. Billy Barrowman now with problems. Sven Hartman with a problem. Oh my goodness, what has lap 1 done?
Man, I was not expecting this out of lap 1.
Lucas
and now
Souza.
we got another car off. That's Lucas Souza way off. He went straight towards the wall, immediately toes. I was not expecting this for lap 1 incidents at this track. We saw a really, really calm lap 1 for the heat, and now we see just absolute carnage for lap 1 in the feature.
And it's not over. Pecorini with a problem. That's car 47. He's turned around. That's in turn 10. Gritzko into the pit lane. He, I think, has towed. He's got no front bumper. Lucas Souza's got massive problems. There's Scott Kimbrough into the pit lane. We're going to have a lot to look back at. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look back at lap 1 for the final time here in season number 8. Let's go a little further back. We saw that incident with Dean Kerr at the very beginning of the race. It looked like he just backed the car into the corner and got loose. But let's see here from the blimp what happens. Was there any contact? No, as soon as he got that car turned in, the back end just came around.
No harm, no foul, as you said when that incident occurred, Andrew. He's able to keep the car in one piece. Obviously not the start you want, but a drivable car is still a good thing. Now we're up here with Andy Ray Miller. He had himself a little bit of an off-track excursion coming through turn 4 right here, which kind of leveled him out with everybody. He was going to be slower. Now, I said that was Armando Aarons that might have got into him. That was actually Scott Kimbrough that actually got into the back of him, so that's my bad.
It was Aarons.
Was it Aarons? Okay, yeah, my bad. Yeah, well, then that wasn't really Aarons. That was just Andy Ray Miller maybe missed it just a little bit, tried to stop the car to get it to rotate. Armando got into the back of him. So that was that first incident that we saw, and then we had plenty more after the fact.
We also had an incident for Scott Kimbrough in this corner, though. He was a little further back. What happens here into turn 5? Kimbrough gets a little bit of Pecorini, and there were like 3 incidents there. Pecorini drove Kimbrough into the wall there.
I don't know if there was any kind of trying to get on the throttle and the car kept stepping out on Pecorini. I'm not for sure. That did look a little, I'm not going to say suspicious, but I can't really say as far as what was happening there. Obviously, maybe just a little bit of heat there. Yeah, the car's just very, very unhappy, obviously.
So that's between Kimbrough and Pecorini, but then there's an incident back here with Yannick Steinhoff. I don't even know what camera to go to here. Steinhoff to the inside of Souza. That puts it 3 wide. He actually tags, that's the word I'm looking for, tags Francesco Antonicelli. That being lap 1 and being an aggressive move to the inside, I could see that being a case for a penalty. Here again, the eye is over. I don't know. I think Francesco could have left him more room.
I think so too. Obviously, you see Yannick kind of get in a little deep, but he obviously re-gives that position up. He didn't try to continue that momentum. He gives that position up going into it. Maybe just they weren't expecting Yannick to still be there with how slow everything is, and then obviously the big slide here, big nose, right into the wall, gets off the track. Very, very smart, but still, just a lot of carnage right here on lap 1.
And we're not done. Christian Gritzko had a problem. Here's a look at it. He has now parked his car. He is done racing for season number 8. So here's a look at the only Mustang in the field, I believe, having some kind of problem. There's Sven Hartman having an issue. We'll have to come back and get that, and there you go. So that's what happens to Gritzko. Lucas Souza was broadside to the racetrack, and that's why Souza goes off the racetrack here. He's got no left front to turn with.
And obviously, I think maybe that spin from Sven Hartman probably got Souza turned up, trying to make sure he missed him, which put him broadside in front of the track and right in front of Gritzko. You see there, Sven Hartman loses it, maybe tags him. Yep, tags him just a little bit. Luca trying to get back on it, and Christian Gritzko straightened him back out with no left front.
And Souza tried to turn in, and it just didn't. It did not turn. He had no clue.
Yeah, he had absolutely no clue.
Another look back at it. This will be Sven Hartman in the 119. Okay, we have to go a little further back, but he broke loose after going out into the grass. Gets stuck there in the wall. He's still racing, but he has taken significant time in the pit lane for repairs. 2 minutes, which doesn't look like 2 minutes of damage, so something else might have happened.
See Dean Kerr there coming around Sven Hartman. He's also got a little bit of damage on that left front as well. So something happened to him after his first initial slide going into turn 1. So I mean, obviously we keep harping on it, the carnage. It's just every time we go back and unfold a little bit, we see more and more of what could have happened here.
Let's take a look here for Sven Hartman. This is back into turn 5, now 6. And let's see, how does he end up out in the dirt? Is it just a driver mistake, or was he trying to miss something? What's going on here? This is Thomas Rayleigh and Paolo Godai just ahead. He goes to the outside of Godai. That's tough. That is really difficult to go too wide through. So that's how he got out in the dirt. Now he's got tire debris and stuff on his tires and just gets loose. Cold tires and debris, that does not mix.
That's what I was going to say too. Just with the debris on the tires and with these tires still not being up to temp, trying to battle people with Division 1 and Division 2 interlocked like that, it's very, very difficult to try to race your race just because of it. Obviously, it bit Sven Hartman there, so it's just really unfortunate for both of these guys, because both of these guys were having decent runs, at least through the heat. Lucas Souza, Christian Gritzko, Sven Hartman. It's just really, really unfortunate for those three.
There you see the bouncing around left front there for the 6 car. Then something I think happened or transpired maybe with the 5. This is Yannick Steinhoff. I thought something might have transpired. This is into turn 10. Whoa! Wow! We're not done!
Maybe that was just a bit of frustration from Gritzko. Just get me on the pit lane. I'm done with this. I don't know what could have happened there. Obviously, this is a difficult pit lane to get in because you're going into the chicane right here. But yeah, it doesn't look like anything egregious towards Yannick Steinhoff. Just Gritzko, I guess, frustrated with how everything turns out, gets on pit road and immediately stops.
One more look, and then I promise we're coming back to live picture. This is Eduardo Pecorini in the final corner, racing with Chris Winstone. Contact there. Again, I think in just about every incident like that we've seen so far, the outside car has actually been at fault. Whether it's, you know, the inside car making a move or getting past, I think the outside car can give a little more room. That's the nature of chicanes, though, Zach. When it comes to a racetrack like this, that's just what happens. So, not a lot of racing room out there, and these guys are meeting in the middle a lot tonight. Back to live picture, nearly 10 minutes in. Can you believe that?
I mean, and I know it could be frustrating to not document the first 10 minutes of the race just because we're going back and trying to see everything that happened, but I feel like trying to get the whole story, it's one thing to say, oh, he wrecked, he has damage, but I feel like getting to the bottom of why he has damage, I believe that unfolds the story a little bit more. But and I appreciate going through the first little bit of racing while everybody's getting settled out to get an understanding of why this race is the way that it is, the way it's taking shape. Eduardo Pecorini goes quickest, but it's just, I believe getting that understanding of why this race is the way that it is, how it's shaped up to be this point, I believe getting the full story is just that. But as we ride with Yannick Steinhoff here, as we kind of go back up to the front as well, Yannick hasn't really made a move ever since everything kind of transpired. Maybe has a little bit of damage to that front end, maybe the car not really to his liking right now because of said possible damage, but Yannick Steinhoff not really moving as of right now. He's obviously made up some positions because of everything that's transpired, but as of speed, he hasn't really made up a whole lot.
And these are your top three. Alex DeMarco, that is going to be Alex DeMarco, Samsung, and Paulo Godai, your top few here this evening. There's Anthony Celli on the inside of Steinhoff. This is not something we've seen yet this season, really at all. Anybody trying to pass Yannick Steinhoff, other than maybe Eduardo Pecorini, but Francesco took a look there at turn 8, backs out now through 9 and 10, gives that spot back up to the 5 car, but we've got ourselves a battle for the race lead in Division 1 on our hands. Not overall, though. Samsung runs in second, but at the front end of Division 1, these guys are behind Alex DeMarco.
DeMarco's not really holding up these guys. He's not really bottlenecking. You can see about a good 3.5, 4 car length that he has gap over Samsung, with Godai just kind of laying in wake behind him as well. So DeMarco really holding a pretty wheel, as some NASCAR driver up in the booth likes to say, holding a pretty wheel. He's holding a really good line. He's holding really good speed. Like I said, these guys up in D1 haven't really been able to chase him down as of yet, and that's just the kind of racing that this invert produces. You get new drivers up here in front, maybe drivers around the same speed, and it doesn't matter if you're in Division 1, Division 2, it doesn't really matter if you're amongst the same speed, you're going to have a chance at winning, and obviously Alex DeMarco holding that position very, very nicely right now.
And let's do something a little busy here. We're going to expand on what we did previously for the lap time comparison. So we showed you 2 times before, Zach, right? We showed you 2 different, there were 2 drivers anyways, 2 drivers worth of lap times. Let's go ahead and show you 4. This is your top 4 on the racetrack: Alex DeMarco, Samsoid, Paulo Godai, and Armando Aarons. This is how they're comparing. We're about to get a batch of new lap times in. DeMarco a 27.219, Samsoid a 27.116, Godai a 27.321, and Aarons a 27.684. So your front 3 are really, really close, and then Aaron's a little bit off in 4th place. He's going to have company in the form of Thomas Rayleigh very soon, and we recall exactly how that went at Chicago last week. They did not have a happy run-in, as we are about to lap Robert Rodignoli.
The lap cars, and that's one of the things that it's difficult to gauge what the lap cars are going to do. Obviously got the Samsoid and Godai got held up a little bit there, but as long as you're a lap car, hold your line, hold your position, you're not making any kind of unexpected swerves or anything to get out of the leader's way, you're going to get passed up easily, and you're going to be at the benefit of the lead lap drivers there. So a really smart move by Guadagnoli there. Just hold your line, let the leaders figure out a way around you. As now we see a huge pack of cars here led by Aarons. That's catching up to Guadagnoli now. Remember, Aarons was a part of that Andy Ray Miller incident, so he's probably got a little bit of front end damage. That's probably why he's just a little bit off the leaders right now, holding up these guys in front. And as you mentioned, Andrew, with Rayleigh right behind him, these two have a little bit of history from Chicago last week, so I don't know how easily Armando Aarons is going to let Rayleigh get around him.
Oh, Anthony Way into big dive on Guadagnoli. They make a little bit of contact maybe. That's going to open the door now for Miguel Colon down the front straightaway. That's going to change the complexion of this group. Colon's going to move forward, it looks like, here in turn 1. Wait for it. There's the dive. He makes the pass. And that's going to now bring Wayand back to Yannick Steinhoff. Steinhoff should make quick work of the 81 just by pace. We'll see, though, if that's the case. I did not mean to rhyme, I promise. Francesco Antonicelli there as well. What's interesting, Zach, Armando Aarons needs to hold on to this spot. He cannot afford to lose any more positions because he's got to try and make all the ground he can on Andy Ray Miller. I know it's not likely that he catches Andy in the points, but this is his best case.
Well, and I was going to bring that to light as well, Andrew, with Armando Aarons being pretty much almost 10 positions in front of Andy Ray Miller. Remember, he also finished in front of Andy Ray Miller through the heat race. Should it have been 3 or 4 positions, that's still points made up on Andy Ray Miller. So with him being almost 10 positions in front of him, this is going to be, if everything holds, we still got 25 minutes, so we're still not even to halfway through this race yet, but if everything holds is the way that it does, Armando Aarons is going to take a huge jump at Andy Ray Miller through the points, and we're going to have ourselves a race right here towards the end, and we're not going to have a good understanding of the points until after the race. Andy Ray Miller still limping that car around. Looks like he's still got damage. He has not come down and taken his quick repair that the race offers. Sven Hartman on him. I believe, no, that's not for position. Billy Bowerman is the next in position for Andy Ray Miller. Sven Hartman going to let Andy Ray Miller take this corner to not really mess with him too much. But, I mean, with everything that's transpired, that's exactly what Armando Aarons needed. He needed this good 9-10 position gap in front of Andy Ray Miller to have a chance at it. And I applaud Andy Ray Miller for sticking through it, trying to make sure he doesn't let any of the bleeding continue to go on in points and on track. So like I said, we're still not halfway through the race just yet. We still got halfway plus an extra couple minutes to get through. So a lot could happen here. But as of right now, Armando Aarons in a really spot to make up a lot of points on Andy Ray Miller for Division 2.
And if you're Andy Ray Miller, you need to hit the pit lane this next lap, I think. You are hemorrhaging lap time. If we bring up the lap times here between Aarons and between Andy Ray Miller, you'll see what I mean. This is a large gap between them. 2 seconds. Well, a second and a half between them, but Sven Hartman is able to get by Andy Ray Miller. A second and a half between them. And if you look at Dean Kerr to Andy Ray Miller, it doesn't get any better. So the next car ahead of Andy, he is lapping over a second faster. You've got to pit. Get your damage fixed. Get back out there. You are in range now at this point in time. Get that pit stop made. Get that fast repair. Get back on the racetrack. Start going faster. Try to run some cars down, or at least get closer in case they have problems.
And I think that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to limp into that window. Obviously, you don't want to come down pits twice and completely take yourself out of a position to get yourself close for passing cars or putting yourself in position to pass cars. So you see him, he's on the right side here. If he's inside that window, doesn't look like he's going to take it this time. That's another lap where he could hemorrhage about 2 to 2.5 seconds on Armando Aarons and all the cars around him. But like you said, Andrew, obviously you want to get in as quickly as possible, and I think he's just kind of limping this car around to get into that window. Obviously that window is either, if it's not open, it's really close to being, but it should be. As we look back up here to Armando Aarons, he's been passed up by Thomas Rayleigh, now getting chased down by Miguel Colon right here. This is going to play big benefactor, and Yannick Steinhoff going to take advantage of it as well. Yannick, I don't know if he got into Miguel Colon.
He definitely did.
Obviously something had happened there. Miguel Colon goes around, so that's another. He loses a position, regains a position. Armando Aarons does, but this is one thing that you wanted to see as far as Andy Ray Miller. He's going to take a that was. I've been here all season. Yeah, Antonicelli. I've been here all season. I still can't remember the car paint schemes. Antonicelli goes around Armando Aarons. Armando Aarons looking for a way back. Chris Winstone right behind them. So this is what if you're Andy Ray Miller, this is what you wanted to see right here.
And this is for the lead. DeMarco, Samsoid, Godai all battling here, your top three. They're swapping around positions. Godai to the inside at turn 2, and Miguel Colon is at the pit lane. He's got massive damage. There's Anthony Weyen now in the pit lane as well. I want to get back to that replay, and I'm just going to go for it. It's not I'm going to go for it. I think I have a chance here. Let's hope this works out. I want to get back to that replay with Yannick Steinhoff, because I think this is going to be rather impactful. I feel like there's going to be a penalty here. I could be wrong, but check this out. This is Yannick Steinhoff making contact with Miguel Colon into turn 7. See Colon a little slower on entry because he's over on the right side of the racetrack, and Steinhoff just punts him.
I don't think Steinhoff was anticipating Miguel Colon being a little bit slower, trying to get around Armando Aarons there just because of being a little bit of out of position trying to pass Armando Aarons. Maybe just wasn't taking that into account, but yeah, like you said, Andrew, just carrying a little bit too much speed, gets into the back of Miguel Colon. Now, obviously, this didn't hurt the front end of Miguel Colon, but we saw him coming down pit road with no front end. I wonder if, yeah, right there, just that's what takes the front end off, gets into Anthony Weyen. Anthony Weyen goes for a spin. Both of those guys had to come down pit road.
Yeah, bad rejoin, and then I think it got worse because that front bumper is back on there, and then it's not on there when he comes around to the pit lane. I see, there it goes. Okay. So problems there in the midfield for those drivers. There's a problem now with Armando Aarons. He's into the pit lane, actually. So not a problem. He's into the pit lane for service. But I think he's lost enough spots. I don't think he's going to gain enough points here on Andy Ray Miller. I think the championship is still in Andy's hands. We'll have to wait and see.
Now, if you're Andy Ray Miller and if you've got somebody telling you where Armando is or what's going on, and you see Armando Aarons down in pit road, you come in and pit now if you haven't already. You try to make sure that you try to copycat as much as you can to make sure that whatever points that you're willing to give up because of everything that happened at the start of the race, you don't give up at the second part of the race. You see Dean Kirk coming down pit road right now. So if you're Andy Ray Miller, you're trying to cover as much as you can to make sure you don't have any kind of more points hemorrhaging. Armando Aarons comes out of pit road, and that's one of the things that I wanted to highlight. You see turn 1 there in the background. You have to take this long sweeping left to try to get out of pit road. You're going to rejoin pretty much coming into 2 right here. So obviously doesn't really play a factor because there's no cars around Armando Aarons, but I could foresee that for cars closer like this group up here still battling, I could foresee that being an issue.
So Yannick Steinhoff, by the way, he is in 4th, 6 seconds behind this group. The last, 3 weeks, we've seen Yannick be behind the 8 ball, getting through traffic, and then just run the lead group down because something happens to clean out competition between he and that lead group. Now, the competition has been cleaned out. He's got just 6 seconds to make up between himself and this group for the lead. I gotta tell you, Zach, I think Steinhoff's got it still.
I don't want to say yes just yet because that is still a very large hill to climb. Obviously, we saw him incur a little bit of damage. We saw him, obviously, with his issue with Miguel Colon. So nothing as of just yet has been handed out from the stewards. And that's one of the things that I want to bring up. Nothing has been really issued from the stewards. Now, I don't know if this is just because of the new iRacing UI. The stewards can do this in secret. We haven't really seen too much of it. Maybe it's just the last race of the year and the steward said let them have at it. But one of the things that I did want to highlight here, if Yannick does have any kind of damage comes down pit road, he does have a quick repair at his disposal should he decide to take it. That could be something that we see here. Obviously, down at the time, he's almost a second quicker than Alex DeMarco, the leader overall. I don't know if that's just going to be enough time for them to catch these guys and pass them just because of how close everything is. You see how close the racing is up front between Samsoid, G'day, and DeMarco themselves. So obviously, he's quicker than these guys when he's all alone. I don't know if he'll be able to work of those guys in front.
I'll see what this lap time looks like for him. For DeMarco, it's now a 1:27.411. No, there we go. 1:27.035. So picks up for DeMarco. For Steinhoff here, it's going to be a 1:20, a new fast lap. How about that?
Well, I mean, every time I doubt him,
Pecorini.
Pecorini goes fastest there, but I mean, still, he's laying down quicker lap times than the leaders. I mean, I could see him getting there. Like I said, it's one thing to get there, and we had kind of alluded to it at the start of the heat race where dirty air plays a huge factor. Chris Wenstone comes down for his service. So if Yannick can manipulate that dirty air, be able to take advantage of maybe a little bit of an incident for G'day, Samsoid, and DeMarco, obviously he's going to have a really good chance, but it's just a matter of having that chance to get up to those 3 and passing them quickly.
Well, you know, Zach, we've seen Yannick get aggressive already in this race for 9th, 10th, 7th. I would not put it past him if he's already aggressive for those spots to go for it. If he gets there for the race lead, I mean, it's the lead at that point. You're trying to cap off the season with another win. I would not be surprised if he got a little bit touchy-feely, a little bit aggressive with those guys, made a dive where maybe they weren't expecting it. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be contact, but I am saying it's possible at that point in time between these guys. There's a slow car, that's Lucas Souza. He's got a slight problem, it seems. There was some smoke there in that corner. I'd imagine that's connected, but he goes one lap down. Yeah, I would imagine if Yannick can just get there, as he's now in the pit lane, if Yannick can just get there, he can likely put them in a bad spot and pass them somewhat easily.
Well, it's just a matter of how quickly he's going to get there, right? We were talking, I was saying earlier that we're not halfway. Well, we're almost 3/4 of the way through this race now. We're almost have 15 minutes left with him coming down pit road, and he was still 3-4 seconds off the lead pack and still having to get through those front 3. Pecorini comes down with Yannick as well. So you see Yannick launch from his pit stall. So, I mean, with each lap time being just under 2 minutes, being 1.25 minutes or 1.75 minutes of time, he's going to have to get there, and he's going to have to get there quick. He's pretty much got 4 or 5 laps to make that time up and then to just pass those guys. So we see Andy Ray Miller. He comes down pit road. He went long. Was not expecting this out of Andy Ray Miller. Obviously trying to make up as much as he could. Maybe with everyone coming down early, maybe he was just guessing to go long to try to pick up some position, see where he comes out. And relative to everybody, he takes his quick repair. You see that front end get repaired. So Andy Ray Miller here pulling the long strategy. He's down and away. He was one of the first boxes because of that invert, as you see DeMarco and Samsoy come down pit road.
This is my challenge to Andy Ray Miller and a lot of these drivers. Get a little more creative with your pit strategy. Because Andy, I think, really needed to pit early there, and he didn't. He waited 10 minutes after we said that, Zach, and I think the results are going to show it. I think he's going to end up losing a lot of time that he could have had otherwise, so that's my challenge, is to see Billy Bowerman in the pit lane. He's been there for nearly 30 seconds now, so some issues maybe for him as DeMarco is further up the order. There he is. He's into his box. Samsoid there as well. Thomas Rayleigh is into the pit lane. And there are more on the way. There's Samsoid rolling. There's DeMarco rolling. Wow. Samsoid 12.03. 14.35 for DeMarco. That's for the race lead.
And we saw there that these two were pretty much right on top of each other. Now, I don't know if it was just slow because of how everything lined out with Samsoid being behind DeMarco. You see Yannick here. He still sees these guys in front of him. Now he definitely has the time to make up on these guys. Maybe about 3-4 seconds behind these guys, still a little bit more. So if he picks up a second a lap, that's going to be, I don't know, that's going to be close to about, I don't know, maybe 8 and 7 minutes left in this race. And now with DeMarco being behind Samsoid with the car right on him, I don't know. I think Yannick is going to make quick work of DeMarco. Now, I'm not saying that DeMarco's just going to lay over for him. Obviously, showing the fight right here. This is going to slow him up a little bit, so maybe not. Maybe DeMarco's going to fight Yannick just a little bit. Car steps now. He's able to hold on to it, but that's going to hold up Yannick. That's going to be a huge factor here coming down towards the end of the race.
That is huge for Samsoid, who's already made his stop and got back down and away. Steinhoff now gets aggressive into 8. He makes the pass here on DeMarco. If I'm Scott Kimbrough, though, I don't know what I'm doing, because he did not need to contest that spot with DeMarco. Scott Kimbrough still got a pit, and he just really cost DeMarco a lot of time by even going side by side there in turn 5. I don't support that whatsoever. There you see, Kimbrough still got a pit. He's going to be so far back because of what happened earlier. I don't like that. That's just me. That's just my opinion. It is what it is. The race goes on, and it's drama for us. But Samsoid now, he has made his stop. Francesco back on the racetrack, there he is, and then Yannick Steinhoff. Steinhoff is going to go through Francesco into the Antonelli still. This is going to be very interesting to the end. This could be an overall win for Samsoid in the making.
And we've seen Antonelli and Yannick put down the quicker lap times compared to Samsoid. But as you see, Samsoid's already getting into the chicane up here. Francesco Antonelli and Yannick just getting into it. Samsoid already down and away from it. With Paulo Gadai in front of him. Gadai's going to be able to jump him. So not only does Yannick have to go through Francesco Antonelli and Samsoid, he's also got to go through Gadai, who's been able to jump Samsoid.
And Francesco is ahead of Steinhoff because of what happened right here a lap ago with DeMarco. That is the only reason Francesco is ahead of Yannick Steinhoff. This has gotten so much more interesting. Wow. So you know what? I'll take it back, Scott Kimbrough, because what happened there gave us the most interesting way we could have asked for to finish this race. Because I still don't think it was necessary to fight DeMarco there. But boy, has it changed the order up front. It has held Steinhoff back a bunch. He has got to make up 6 seconds nearly to the race leader of Paulo Gadai. And this is going to be, these are 3 of the best in the field that he's got to pass. Francesco Antonelli, who's got to win this season. Samsoid, who's still looking for one. And Paulo Gadai, who is the points leader, Zach, also has not yet won this season. This could be a fantastic way for him to go out here in Season 8.
A fantastic way for him to go out in Season 8. Now, one of the things that I do want to mention, should those cars behind him get to him, I don't know how hard he's going to battle. Obviously, we know how difficult it is to pass around these guys. Obviously, he has pretty much the D1 championship all but locked. So because of that, I don't know how hard he's going to battle. Obviously, we might see him battle hard with Samsoid, should Samsoid make up that time. to take that win. He doesn't have that win, so that might be a little extra fuel in the tank, but with the season hanging in the balance, obviously with the championship all but locked, I don't know how hard he's going to battle, but obviously doesn't need to right now. He's got Samsoid obviously behind him right there, but Samsoid about 5 car lengths behind him, so Gadai could just ride right now. Now, let's break this down real quick. We've got the 2 faster cars, 3rd and 4th. They've been arguably the fastest cars on track. They've been swapping lap times back and forth with each other, quickest lap times. They're 3rd and 4th. We got 2 of the better drivers up front in Samsoid and Gadai. Obviously, they're quick as well, but not as fast as these 2 right now. So there's still a lot of drama to be had right here within these last 10 minutes. Should these guys catch Samsoid and Gadai, I don't know how easy it is going to be for these guys to pass them.
Oh, hang on. Let me switch this around. I did not get that lined up the way I wanted that to be. So 1 second. So I'm going to line this up. Hang on. I thought I had it right, and I had it all wrong. Stand by. Technical difficulties.
Life be that way. Life be that way.
And here we go. Now I should have this right. Yes. In order of position in your top 4, these are your lap time comparisons. Paulo Gadai ahead, a 127 flat. The only car faster is Yannick Steinhoff. He's only a couple of tenths quicker, and that is not going to be enough to make up 6 seconds. Even 5 seconds.
No, not even close. I mean, one of the things that we're also seeing right here, Lucas Souza being right in front of these guys, he is not pulled over. Francesco Antonicelli is closed up to Lucas Souza, but he is not pulled over for these guys. Obviously, he's racing for position as well, to be, albeit not for position with these guys, but he still has every right to be out on the track as every one of these guys and every right to fight as hard as he wants to. There he goes. Now he's going to pull over for both Yannick and Francesco Antonicelli, but still, being 3-4 tenths quicker, that's not going to be able to get close enough to these guys. You're going to have to start popping off second and a half, because time is winding very, very quickly.
So across the line there, you see the lap times updating for Gadai, for Samsoid, for Antonicelli, for Steinhoff, and Gadai pulled some on Steinhoff there. I think Gadai is safe. Honestly, I think these 4 are going to finish right where they are. Maybe a swap for 3rd if Steinhoff can just get the right positioning here on Antonicelli. I don't think Yannick has enough time to run those guys down up front. I really do think the little bumps in the road that Yannick has hit, including DeMarco there in turn 7, have completely changed this race and the outcome of this race here today. What a set of storylines. And you know what, Zach? We've still got to go through our driver of the day vote, our North American Racing League driver of the day vote. Here we go. I'm going to give you the floor. We'll go one by one. I'll give you one. I'll do one back and forth. Who you got?
You know what? Obviously, it's pretty easy to take the leader of D1, and I'm going to take him. You got to take Paulo Gadai here, just because of the adversity that he took in the heat race. Obviously, didn't have the position he wanted. He started P10 on the grid, which means he finished 5th overall in the heat race. Didn't have the quickest car. Now that he's out in front, he was able to use strategy. You saw him battling with Samsoid there in 3rd. He was able to use strategy to jump out in front of Samsoid. Now, because of that, he is pulling away. Nothing but clean track in front of him. Give me Paulo Gadai as my driver of the day for D1.
I'm going to go for a feel-good. Chris Winstone started 20th after getting messed up, crashed in, well, kind of, it was relatively self-inflicted there in the sprint race, but had that mistake early, lap 1. Started from dead last in this race, is up to 7th, and has some spots directly ahead, Eduardo Pecorini and Alex DeMarco. I'm going to go for a feel-good driver of the day here. Back out of the season, Chris Winstone. He's showing that he has gone through the ringer these last handful of weeks, but is still here to play.
I mean, that's a really good pick. I have seen him starting to climb up the ranks, but as far as Division 2 goes, give me Armando. You know what? I almost said Armando Aarons. Give me Alex DeMarco. With everything that he has been faced, he was able to get up front, lead laps. He was able to pull on Samsoid. That was able to keep Gadai behind him, as you see Winstone there take a dive there. You saw him get a little loose. His battle with Scott Kimbrough there through this section of the track. He was able to hold the car under him. Give me Alex DeMarco. With everything that's happened to him, with him able to hold up front and be able to still hold this position, D2 P1 as of right now, give me Alex DeMarco.
And I'm not sure, honestly, who I want to give this nod to here in Division number 2. There is only one driver, I will say, that has gained spots since the beginning of the race. That is Bob Guadagnoli, and I want to give him a nod. I'm not going to give him my nomination because he is running last right now, but he has at least gained spots. He has stayed in it. He has made up spots. Everybody else, aside from Billy Bowerman, who is staying right where he started this race, everybody else has lost positions here in Division 2, and I know it's hard. I know it's not easy, but that is not what you want to see at all. So, it's a little bit harder for me this week, honestly, to find somebody here in Division 2, but I'm going to go Andy Ray Miller, taking points into mind. I think he did the wrong thing with his pit strategy, but he's keeping himself just where he needs to be to Armando Aaron's. Yes, he's bleeding, but he's not hemorrhaging. He's putting pressure on the wound. He is managing this race as well as he can. Andy Ray Miller, Division number 2, because he is going to enter here today with a gap back for the championship, go through a lot of bad stuff, a lot of not what you want, and I think still end up with the championship, and that, I think, speaks volumes to me.
I mean, he's had so much adversity. We saw him in the heat race take on adversity. I don't think he had a bunch of conflict through the heat race, but we saw everything that happened to him at the start of this feature race, and still with everything that went on with the damaged race car, he still stuck it through. Obviously, being the points leader, there's a lot of pressure, so when that pressure starts to get more and more, I guess just a lot more pressure to add on because of everything that happened to him at the start of the race. He stuck in it with damaged race car. He still came down pit road, admittedly maybe not the best of strategy, but still because of that, he's able to, like you said, put pressure on the wound just a little bit, make sure he stops the bleeding. I feel like that's a really good pick.
Back up towards the front, Yannick Steinhoff trying to work on Francesco Antonicelli. Yannick would like to make the podium in the final race of the season, and that was a big bobble out of Antonicelli there over the curb at turn 5. This is going to open the door now to turn 7, and I think Yannick has learned. Don't go deep there in turn 7 unless you really have to. He holds himself back there. That was smart, I feel like. He's waiting for the right opportunity. Only 3 minutes to go, though. He's going to start to get antsy for that spot, as is everybody on this racetrack. If they're in a battle, they're going to start to get antsy and look for the opportunity they need, and they are both catching Samsoid. We could see a last-ditch run for second here between each of these two drivers running in third and fourth.
Samsoid has that big hiccup, like you said, Andrew. You can see these guys really starting to pack up really quick. Obviously, Yannick is right on the back end of Antonicelli. Samsoid is doing a really good job of just managing what he's got. Obviously, G'day has ran away to a 3-second gap in front of Samsoid. So, barring anything that happens to G'day, Samsoid, I think, is okay with second. So, he just needs to hold this line, hold this position as best as he can. Obviously, with the two quicker cars behind him, as we look at the times here, Francesco Antonicelli Yannick has ran faster than both Paolo G'day and Samsoid. Maybe not by much, but still faster nonetheless. So I don't know if they're going to be able to catch Samsoid here at all, with us almost getting underneath 2 minutes here. We might be getting ready to come to white flag here, but if they don't catch Samsoid, like you said, Steinhoff could get a little antsy with Antonicelli. Antonicelli's pulled that gap just a little bit more on Yannick, so I don't know. Yannick needs to start really, really pushing hard as he can here towards the end of this race, because I believe we're going to be catching the white flag here.
I do believe we're about to get the white flag next time around. If not, it's going to be close. We're on lap 26 of an originally expected 28, but I believe with the pit stop, that's going to become 27. Let's see, Paolo G'day. Yeah, this is going to be white flag when he comes back around by just a couple of seconds here. This is going to time out perfectly for it. So there is Paolo G'day out of turn 10, and sure enough, this will be the white flag, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. One more time around this season for the North American Racing League. Kind of a parade lap for some, a last-ditch effort, a last-ditch opportunity for others to get a spot. Francesco Antonicelli into turn 1 with Yannick Steinhoff right behind.
Closed in a little bit there on turn 1. Now, we've seen in the past Yannick being able to get into the corners a little bit hotter than a lot of these drivers. Antonicelli goes a little bit wide there. You see him pick up just a little bit of debris. He's able to get away decently unscathed, but Yannick still relatively close. He's filling up that rear view mirror. Any little bit of pressure is good pressure right here.
Into turn 5 for the final time. Francesco's been all up on the curbing. Is so once again, but Yannick maybe even grabs a little more. By the way, down in Division 2, it's been all Alex DeMarco these last handful of laps. He leads that division. There he is through turn 5, leading the way here en route to a win. Here in Division number 2, finally. Boy, it'd be a breakthrough for him here today at Zolder. Up front, Paulo Godai, just a couple of corners left to go. Turns 9 and 10. There's turn 9. Now to turn 10 he goes. He's got the flashers on. And he knows at this point all he's got to do is execute one more time. On the brakes heavy. Down to the left. Down to the right. Back on power. Paulo Godai is going to be a North American Racing League champion. Season number 8 belongs to Paulo in Brazil.
You see Sam Soyd, Antonelli, and Steinhoff finish in their positions respectively 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But as we round out the final corner, Alex DeMarco will take the final win of the year here at Zolder. Alex DeMarco D2 winner here tonight. Armando Aarons is going to be closing behind him as well, but look no further. It looks like Dean Kerr is going to be in the middle of them, but Andy Ray Miller going to finish that as well. Thomas Rayleigh going to be crossing the line. Here comes Fenn Hartman as well. So these guys using this final opportunity to go maybe as fast as they can. Like you said, Andrew, maybe that parade lap. Guadagnoli coming across the line. A bunch of these guys finishing out their season.
Andy Ray Miller yet to be seen here. There he is, final corner. Going to wrap up the season, likely with the championship in the North American Racing League here in Division number 2. Andy Ray Miller gonna get it done, I believe, for the championship this season. He won't, I don't think he's even happy. I don't think he even knows. But he doesn't even do a burnout here. He might think Armando got him for the standings, honestly. So that's interesting to consider there, as Chris Winstone does a parade lap around here at the end. Anthony Way-Endemite as well. Winstone has been one of those guys that will run the extra lap, the cool down lap, and I appreciate that. I wish more of these drivers would do that. I think a lot of road guys kind of just finish the race and pull off, but no, for Chris Winstone, he just he likes to take the extra lap.
I mean, I really enjoy doing that too. It's just a way to cool down, maybe just decompress from the race like that, and especially for road racing, it's very, very difficult because of you don't go by laps, you go by time, and that time could really start to play a factor. As Chris Winstone, he does a burnout as he finishes P6 overall, starting 20th, like you said. So I believe this is a well-deserved burnout for Winstone. He got moved up. He won a couple of times down in D2, got moved up, had a couple of rough weeks in his Division 1 debut, but be able to finish it off strong. Burn it down, Chris Winstone. I think you've deserved it.
Yeah, I think the win for him this season is that he got promoted from Division 2 to Division 1. He is now among the best in the North American Racing League. I think that is a huge win for Chris Winstone this season, so definitely props to him and his effort as a whole. Everybody else has already parked their cars for the season and is done. This is the final moving car in Season 8, if you will, but let's take a look back at the unofficial race results when this one is all said and done. Boy, what a fun one here at Circuit Zolder. Paulo Godai will be confirmed, I do believe, as the champion. Andy Ray Miller as well in their respective divisions. Here we go. Final time this season, unofficial race results. Paulo Godai finally breaks through for victory. It's been a long season coming for Paulo, and we finally put a Brazilian in victory lane here in Season 8. I'll have to go back through the stats. I believe he continues the streak of a Brazilian winning once every season, at least, because we have had a lot of really successful South Americans in this league in general, whether it's from Brazil, Argentina, really those two countries primarily, a few from Chile and other countries, but really, now that I think about it, really just Brazil and Argentina. Regardless, I think we've had a driver from Uruguay at one point and some others. This is the North American Racing League. It's had a strong South American presence always, and Paulo shows up here this season, finally gets that win. Sam Soyd there in second, Francesco Antonelli in third, and Yannick Steinhoff in fourth. Four of the strongest drivers in this series. I would throw in really Eduardo Pecorini, so 5 of the strongest. And I think Scott Kimbrough This was an off night for him. He was involved in that mess early. Otherwise, he would be my 6th most strongest driver of the season. If he had just been up here, man, we could have had the cream at the top of the North American Racing League in their final showing here for season number 8. Chris Winstone, though, shows up here in 6th. Good run for him. I think that's deserving of at least a look for driver of the day. That's why I put him in there. So props to Chris. Alex DeMarco wins in division number 2 over Armando Aarons. And Armando was very solid. I think another one of those nights we've come to expect from him. So it wasn't over the top for me. It was good to see. He tried to go for a lot of points. Does go top 10. We'll see what ends up happening in Division 2. I think it's Andy Ray Miller, but he's close as Miguel Colon and Thomas Rayleigh wrap up your top 10.
To continue on with that, Dean Kerr, really, really good join from him. Obviously, we saw a little bit of issue with him in the heat race, maybe a little bit of issues as well through the feature. He's still able to jump back almost inside a top 10 overall. He'll finish P3 in D2. Scott Kimbrell right behind him in 12th. Andy Ray Miller is going to be 13th, and like you said, Andrew, with Armando Aarons finishing 8th, Andy Ray Miller finishing 13th. What is that? 5-6 positions, plus counting some of the positions that Armando Aarons was able to pick up in front in the heat race. It's going to be close, but I still think it's going to be Andy Ray Miller. He's going to finish 13th overall, P4 in D2. Anthony Wayand will finish behind him. He had his issue, still comes in at a top 15. Lucas Souza, 15th. Sven Hartman, heartbreak for him because of everything that transpired on lap 1. He's still able to limp it around for the final race of the year. Is really good to see. Even though the results don't show, he's still able to finish strong in a P16 position. Right behind him, Robert Guadagnoli again. Like you were talking, Andrew, it's the same thing. Just be able to limp it around his final race of the season. Still a really good finish by him in 17th. Billy Bowerman, Christian Gritzko left the race early due to the lap 1 incidences, and Edgar Ruiz will round out our field in 20th.
And final 2 drivers here that signed in for tonight did not race, Scott Angelo and Mark Booley. They're in 21st and 22nd. Again, did not start the race at all this evening, but are on the results card here tonight. Waiting on drivers to connect for an interview. We pinged them really quick. It would be, well, Paulo can't talk to us. He's got the language barrier, but I will read off his statement in just a moment. So I'll tag Samsoid. I will tag Francesco, and let's see, Alex and Armando and actually Andy Ray Miller. So those will be the drivers we tag for interview. Give me 1 second to do this. There we go. And let's read off what Paulo Goday has sent me. This is a really strong driver that kind of was asleep a lot of the season, I gotta say. Just a lot of great competition. Some new drivers have joined, and it's been really difficult for him to get back up to winning contention, but he does so here tonight in the final race of the season. And here's what he had to say. He put it through Chat GPT, so bear with me. I'll try to make it make as much sense as I can in English. Just a very long yes exclamation to start it off. I'm very happy to be a 2-time champion here in North American Racing League. I love this league and everyone involved. The last round was thrilling. Didn't have time to practice, bought the track, and just came for the race. I only had time to practice during the official practice session, so that's all I could do, and that is hugely impressive. To buy the track and just jump in and go racing, that is amazing. Paulo Goday, hats off to you. Today we showed our potential once again. Special thanks to Scott Reister for all the support, and to my teammate Yannick Steinhoff. Oh, when did that happen?
I don't know, but that's interesting.
All I can say is I'm very happy about all of this. We're going after the 3rd title soon. When did that happen? If we look at the team Impulse Racing, hang on. Impulse Racing. I did not even notice that. That is, I did all this season, Zach. We had no clue they were teammates. Wow.
No clue.
So I think they have other kind of parent sim racing teams outside of the league. I think that's why Paulo runs this livery, and Yannick runs the livery he does, which is the Impulse Racing team livery. That is really surprising. That's a very interesting tidbit to learn right at the very end of the season. I guess for season 9, I got to look a little more closely at the driver's sheet, because that I did not realize that. So regardless, Paulo, thank you for what you do here for the series. Congratulations on another championship here in the North American Racing League and taking the trophy right back home to Brazil. Paulo Gaday gets it done. And some drivers have connected. Let's go ahead and bring them in. Let's start with Sam, so I know it's late for him. We'll go right to position number 2 here in division number 1. Here he is for you, Zach.
Yeah, talking to Sam's right here, and like Andrew said, it's probably a little late over there, so we're going to try to get this through as quickly as possible. Sam, so you had yourself one heck of a race. Stuck behind DeMarco there for a little bit, and then through strategy, Gaday was able to jump out in front, still able to hold P2. Talk to us a little bit about that start of the race, pretty much, the feature race, with DeMarco being up front. Were you just kind of biding time? Was it just a matter of trying to get an understanding for a track? We heard a lot of people pretty much buy this track just before the race started. I don't know about it for you, but talk to us a little bit about how that race started for you.
Yeah, well, I know the track really well. I've actually won the Jimma 23 hour here, so I know the track intimately. The race start, I was lucky to survive. There was a lot of calamity T1, so when I came out of it, I then made a move, and then, yeah, I was behind Alex. I made the decision to fuel save. I couldn't pass him. There's not real major opportunities to overtake, and he was driving really well, but I also saw he was not fuel saving at all, so I knew if I could just keep it facing forward, look after the fuel, that I'd come out clear. But unfortunately for me, Paulio behind me was also on the same strap, but did it better than me. I knew I was in trouble when he went even a lap longer than me, so yeah, I'm really, really happy with P2. I did not have the pace in race 1. Race 2, it came better for me, but no, I wasn't just chilling behind Alex because I was bored either. He was fast, he was doing everything right, so he made my strat choice for me, really. But no, I'm really pleased. I really enjoyed the race and the season.
Yeah, talking to you a little bit about the season, obviously the eventual champion for D1 finished right in front of you, P2, to end the season. You've had your share of ups and downs throughout the season, so it's got to feel good to come home on the podium. Maybe not the win you want, but still taking home silver at a track, like you said, intimately. It's got to feel good to end out the season.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it right. I was really chuffed to finish. It felt like a win. It has been a tough season. There's been a lot of downs, just bad luck or lack of pace or just messing up my qualifying, putting myself in a position where I know there's trouble. But yeah, I've really tried hard, and yeah, it just hasn't really gone my way. I haven't been able to get a win, or yeah. So this felt like a win today. It really came together, and I went from like 7th or 8th to P2 in the last race there. So yeah, and it's a really fast bunch. Like even at the end there, if there'd been 3 more laps, I'd have been in trouble from behind. So yeah, really pleased.
Well, we're glad to have you here at the end of the season, and we're really glad to see you come out towards the top of the standings. Obviously, you've shown your strength throughout the season. Obviously, like you said, just with the downs and everything, still coming out and showing out in the P2. We very much appreciate you just still continuing to show up and show out. So we very much appreciate it. And like Andrew said, it's probably late, so we're going to let you go. But again, very much appreciate you jumping in here, talking with us just for a little bit. And hopefully we see you next season, sir. If everything goes well, I hope we see you next season. Hope we get to talk to you then.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Thank Andrew. Yeah, I'll be here next season. Thanks, boys. Lovely chatting to you as always. Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. Cheers.
Thanks, boy. Cheers.
That's Sam Swine. A strong ending here to season number 8 for him. Maybe his best season yet with the North American Racing League, so maybe coming into his own as far as competing late on a Thursday night, a Friday morning for him, really. So props to him, definitely finding his way here in the series. We also went ahead and pinged Francesco Antonacci. Let's bring him in as he finishes 3rd here in division number 1. Francesco, you're definitely starting to turn more and more heads week by week here in the North American Racing League. This time, you hold off Yannick Steinhoff right at the end. How nervous were you there at the end of this race?
Yeah, it was close. Yannick, all the season is very fast. So when you have to hold a driver that is faster than you just need to be very precise. And yeah, here is difficult to overtake as well. But at the end, I was having so much understeer and traction issues, so it was getting closer and closer. I wanted to use Samsoid as a protection, but I was not able to get him, so yeah, it was good to hold him eventually.
Definitely good to hang on to a podium spot here in the final race of the season. What's it been like for you? First season here at the North American Racing League, getting used to these guys. How do you look back on it?
I think I'm quite happy. I can see the glass half full. The start of the season was quite bad for me, but then the last 3-4 races I started to be much more consistent, and I think it's good. Eventually, summing up everything that happened, I'm quite satisfied, and I had great fun. So thank you for the broadcast. Thank you to the organization for the races. It has been cool stuff.
A satisfied driver here. I think the driver that probably is awake the latest right now in Italy, it's probably pretty late, so we'll let you get going. Francesco, congratulations on another top 3, and hopefully we're talking to you next season.
Thank you very much. See you next season.
Francesco Antonicelli gets it done in the 3rd place there in Division Number 1 tonight. On down to Alex DeMarco, Zach, and he put up a fight in Driver of the Day vote. It's still running until the end of these interviews. He could still win it. Here he is.
I was talking about Alex DeMarco just because of how well the start of the race happened. Obviously, after the pit stops, a little bit of a wiggle, maybe faded just a little bit, but still a very, very dominant car. Alex, talk to us a little bit about that start. You're able to hold off both Sam Soid and the eventual champion in D1, Paolo Gaddai, just because of everything that was going on. But Sam Soid gave you your roses. He said that you were holding a really good line, really good speed, that he wasn't really able to do much with you. Talk to us a little bit about the start of the race there and what you saw from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, race start was a little wild. I mean, I felt like I had a decent jump off the line and saw Dean unfortunately kind of snap sideways, and it looked like Andy had to brake, like kind of check up, and I saw some space on the inside where I could kind of shoot it. So kind of went for it, and that gave me a little bit of a gap so I could kind of get my bearings as the tires were coming up to temperature, and then it just kind of felt automatic with all the practice I was doing. I felt like I had pretty good pace going into this race, so I just knew if I kept it as clean as I could, I'd be able to get a decent result. I knew that Sam Soid looked like he had a little bit more pace behind me. I could tell he was lifting a little bit to fuel save, so unfortunately he jumped me in the pits there, but yeah, what are you going to do?
I mean, it's still, with everything that happened, you're still coming home as a D2 winner tonight. You still come home in 7th overall, and I feel like that's nothing to really scoff at, especially with everything that happened coming out of pits. That little bit of battle with Kimbrough here, and then with Yannick all over you because of that. I mean, I still feel like that's a very, very good way to end out the season. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. You're ending the season on a win. Is that good momentum heading into next season, or do you wish you still had more because of this win?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's, with the extra momentum, I certainly feel like, I want the races to keep going. I'm really grateful for Scott to put this league together and for you guys in the broadcast booth doing an awesome job. It's such a fun season. I never really want it to end, but I think I'll be grateful for the break, focus on officials for a little bit, get the I rating up a little bit and, kind of come back ready to get after it come January.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully those officials benefit you well, because obviously jumping off of NARL with a win, hopefully we see you carry this momentum on to next season. Alex, we very much appreciate you jumping in here. Congratulations on your win, and we're looking forward to seeing what you could do next season.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much, and great job this season broadcasting.
Hey, we appreciate it, buddy. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Alex DeMarco finishes 7th overall, 1st in Division Number 2 here in the final race of the season. We'll move on down to Armando Aarons, and we'll keep building the suspense because we are waiting for any official word. The unofficial word, I will say, as we bring Armando Aarons is the unofficial word is Andy is still the champion. We'll get there in just a moment, but for now, Armando, we thought last week you had this thing wrapped up. Then we were surprised because then the drop week was figured in, and you entered tonight 18 points down on Andy Ray Miller. You gave it your all. You gave it your best shot tonight. It sounds like it wasn't quite enough for the championship, but how does it feel to go down swinging?
I mean, when I saw the drop, I guess it was because of the drop race, and I'm like, oh man, dang it. So yeah, no, it's cool. It was a fun championship. Actually never had any major incidents. Like the beginning of the season, I guess what helped me was just basically finishing like without any crashes. I wasn't expecting to be fighting at the top like this, just from like basically I was just racing, don't crash, and that, I guess that was key.
Definitely a big key is do not crash. Of course, the saying, the age-old saying is to finish first. You must first finish, and in this case, you don't quite finish first here tonight, but you amassed a few wins here at the back end of the season. What's the outlook going into Season 9, trying to go and get it again?
We'll see, man. Now I had a baby, so like I needed to finish this championship. So I don't know what I'm gonna do for the next championship, but for this championship, I had a lot of time till the middle, till the baby was born. So I guess I'm gonna have to figure out time. I haven't been sim racing as much, so we'll see.
In addition to the family, as I know, definitely makes it a lot harder to get behind the wheel on the sim. So props to you for finding a way to balance it so far, and hopefully we're talking to you next season, Armando.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Like, thank you guys for everything. Thank you, Scott. It's really good. Like, it was a really good event. So
there you go, Armando Aarons. Congratulations once again for a solid run for the championship. Didn't quite get there, Zach. We'll move on down to our unofficial, but so far seemingly Division 2 champion in the 8th season here of racing in the North American Racing League. It's Andy Ray Miller.
Well, pressure makes diamonds, and there is plenty of that tonight, Andy. We we were talking a little bit about through the heat race about how you needed to stay close to Armando just because of that drop that catapulted you into the standings in front. Lost a couple positions in that heat race, and then everything really unfolded quickly there in the feature race. Talk to us a little bit about pretty much your mindset after everything that happened through pretty much lap 1, and admittedly, we were kind of skeptical about you staying out there on the damaged car. Obviously, you were able to still rack up some positions. Talk to us a little bit about pretty much that whole sequence of events and what you needed to do in your mind.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, the sweat was pouring. You forget about the inverted field and being on the front row. A little nerve-wracking going into that final, and it was all good. First lap, going into the chicane, made a little mistake, and Armando had nowhere to go. No fault of his, all mine. But after that, I was just trying to maintain that gap to him. It's all damage control from that point. But it was it was a great last race. Stayed out on track, so didn't put it into the wall, which is a good thing.
So you can't. After last week, we had talked about Armando holding the lead. We weren't really aware that the drop points were going to come in, and then obviously just before the race starts, you jump into the points lead heading into the final race of the season. Was that like a mind freak for you? Were you pretty much like preparing to try to come in to try to take advantage of everything, and then all of a sudden now you have to change it up? Or was it just the same thing in your head where you just come in, do what you got to do to try to gain as much as you can?
Nope, just trying to, remember my training, just do the job I'm here to do, just do well and finish well. That was all my mindset, really. It didn't really change. But yeah, I actually, whether I came out on top or not, I guess I did. I know I still wasn't sure, but it sounds like I'm going to be on top. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. Armando, and he was great competition. Everyone in D2 is great competition this year. And if it wasn't for Chris going to D1, I think he would have definitely had it with his pace. But no, it was an awesome season. Yeah, I just want to take a moment to thank you guys and for the awesome coverage, and the North American Racing League for putting this together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the North American Racing League is obviously one of the more premier leagues, so to come away as a champion any division is a huge accolade to add to pretty much your personal racing throughout the season. So
I'm very grateful.
Absolutely. I don't think we've gotten an official word just yet, but like you said, I think it's safe to say right now that you will come out on top. Obviously, you've had your fair share of adversity throughout the season, and even with that, you were able to come out on top. Again, pressure makes diamonds, and it looks like we're speaking to one. So, hey, we appreciate you coming in here. We appreciate you being in here all season, always talking to us and talking us up. So we very much appreciate it, buddy.
Awesome. It was good fun, man. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
There you go, Andy Ray Miller, champion here in Division number 2, as we have been told. Not quite official word. I think points will be tabulated a little bit later just to give things time to settle out, but unofficially right now, confirmed, not confirmed, but it's confirmed unofficially is what it is. So still, unofficially, the race winner. I know it's a little confusing, but we do believe that he will be the champion. There we go. I said race winner a second ago. Champion. I'm all mixed up. It's been a long season of racing, Zach. What I do know, though, is I want to give a moment here to our partners with the series, Moradness, Daniel Morad and company over there, putting in work tirelessly week in, week out, pumping out high-quality sim racing, handwear and whatnot. Also, really high-quality coaching. A lot of drivers for seasons now have talked so highly of the coaching from Moradness, so props to them. JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, and Rocket Designs all helping us out with the North American Racing League, allowing this league to take place, allowing this league to be possible. Thanks so much to all of these groups here. Again, making this league possible this season once again. A big thank you as well to our partners, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody, Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. Now that the driver interviews are over, Zach, we can go ahead and end the driver of the day vote, and I can tell you who ends up on top. That's going to be none other than, guess who? Your champion in Division 1. Paulo Goday gets the driver of the day vote in the very last race of the season, and that is oh so deserving. He finally breaks through for that win and gets it done here at Circuit Zolder. If I bring up the schedule graphic here, Zach, and we look back on season number 8, which race stands out to you as the most pivotal here this season?
The most pivotal, I would have to probably say, through everything, I mean, just a fantastic lineup. First and foremost, just a fantastic lineup of racetracks. Obviously, a bunch of these tracks were difficult to pass, but a bunch of really good racing, a bunch of hard racing that we saw throughout the season. I would probably, as far as pivotal, I would have to say Canada. The reason I'm bringing up Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve is because obviously that was the race where Chris Winstone gets bumped up to D1. And you heard it from Andy Ray Miller there that if he didn't, that he would have had a really good chance at taking D2. So that's the race that Chris Winstone gets bumped up into D1. We saw a bunch of drivers have their troubles at Canada. Yannick Steinhoff finished towards the back at Canada. We saw Paulo Goday have to come up through the field to finish where he did. I can't remember exactly where he did, but I know it was towards the front. So I think the turning point, or a good track to start pointing at to say, hey, this is where everything started to take shape, I would probably have to go at Canada.
I was going to say right here is Zolder. I feel like this was a really influential round. I think there was a lot that happened tonight, and I think especially when you look at Division number 2, frankly, there was a chance, and that chance almost came through, but was squashed. I think Chicago and Mugello would be my next two as far as influential pivotal races. Mugello, just because that's where the season got started. There was a lot of chaos that happened there. I specifically recall a couple of big incidents, and I think Steinhoff got a win that race. I'm not really sure, but it's been a while since June now. But Chicago as well last week, because we knew that was kind of one of the last chances to start something at Chicago, and nothing really got started as far as changing who was atop the standings. I know Division 2 ended up flipping with the drop race, but Paulo was out ahead, and Scott just couldn't get ground made. So I think that those are my thoughts as far as which race ended up being the biggest this season, kind of the most influential, most pivotal. That's kind of how I feel there. But I do want to take a look at what's upcoming for us here this season. The rest of this month, really, the next couple of weeks at least here with Pit Stop TV. I know we're done racing for points now in the GT3 series, but we've got to crown a Sunday Cash champion on Sunday, September 21st. That's coming up very soon for the North American Racing League. We also, of course, have to crown a champion in the BRB Racing League Butt Kicker Cup Series. That is on Tuesday, September 16th. So, including tonight, 3 championship rounds in a row for different leagues between North American Racing League and BRB. And then Thursday, we go racing with the Martinsville Speedway for the Sim Model Racing Association Impel Motorsports National Tour Late Model Stock. Some of the best on iRacing. They'll be going for it for 200 laps in the feature there in the RJ Williams Management 300 at Martinsville. A lot of great racing coming up, Zach, and all the places right down below and where to catch it.
I mean, look, you've got yourself a championship race coming up this next Tuesday. You've got yourself a money race September 21st, and you've got beating and banging late model cars at Martinsville Speedway. I mean, just the fantastic lineup of races. And if you do want to follow along on those for those races, you can follow us. Check out our website at Pitstop TV, Facebook.com/Pitstop TV, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, TikTok Pitstop TV1, Twitch Pit_Stop_TV, right here on YouTube Pitstop TV1, and follow along with any kind of updates or anything that may interest you on Twitter or X, whichever one again you prefer, Pitstop TV.
Congratulations to all winners this season, and especially here this evening, Paulo Godoy and Andy Remilla, the champions here in season number 8. Congratulations all around. Thanks so much for tuning in this season. One more time, big thank you to Muradness raffling off a bunch of gloves at the end of the season here. JS Consulting being a back-end supporter here of the North American Racing League, Screw Compressor Service as well, and Rocket Designs doing so much here for the North American Racing League. That has been it for season number 8. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will catch you all next time here on Pitstop TV, hopefully for the BRB Racing League at Las Vegas next week. Otherwise, we'll catch you all right back here on Pitstop TV for the North American Racing League Sunday Cash Finale, September the 21st, almost the 27th, September the 21st. We'll see you for that race at Road America. Until then, thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great night.